all startups, especially the very early stage student founders, etc. I tell them कि आप एक business model Excel पे बना लो.
हम्म
आपको पता चल जाएगा क्या नंबर है. Put assumptions. Be
क्लियरिटी आती है काफी.
be realistic about assumptions. They're like, अरे उसमें 2-3 घंटे. I'm like, you spend 2-3 hours, you'll have so much clarity because you will be able to ask yourself very hard questions.
There is a reason why it takes 2 to 3 hours. So, hi, Arjit. Welcome to the podcast. It's pleasure having you.
Hey Manshu, pleasure's mine. Thank you for inviting me to spend some time with you and indirectly speak to your audience.
So, पॉडकास्ट जो रहता है इट्स काइंड ऑफ एन हिंदी इंग्लिश मिक्स काइंड ऑफ एन जो पॉडकास्ट हमारा रहता है जैसे हम नॉर्मल कन्वर्सेशन करते हैं
ठीक है.
और लाइक जैसे हमारी पहले कन्वर्सेशन हुई थी जस्ट काइंड ऑफ दैट लाइक अ फन कन्वर्सेशन स्टार्टिंग दैट.
Done. Yeah, I'm comfortable with both languages. Yeah.
हाँ. सो स्टार्ट वैसे ही करते हैं. जस्ट लेट्स स्टार्ट बाय कि आप अपने बारे में थोड़ा बताइए. मेरे को पता है, ठीक है. आई हैव सीन लाइक यू हैव बीन इन प्रीवियसली आल्सो वर्किंग विद अ फंड, देन फिर आईएएम के साथ भी आपने करा. थोड़ा सा ऑडियंस को भी उसके बारे में.
Good, yeah. So, not a very different sort of a career. I mean, I would have loved to have a startup stint in my timeline somewhere. Hopefully, future में होगा. लेकिन I think I started off as a consultant, transaction advisory guy at EY. My first job EY में थी. I used to work with the valuations team there and learned a lot about business there, right? Post my MBA, किताबें आपको एक लेवल तक ही ले जा पाती हैं. I think you learn a lot by working with a lot of founders, companies, getting your hands dirty. So that was very formative in my experience. So many things that I learned about many massive businesses in India, some of the top groups, etc., by working with them on the deals that they were doing, on acquisitions, and just general stuff. उसी समय came across a very interesting asset category called startups. तब बहुत ही नया नया बजवर्ड था. उससे पहले entrepreneurship बोलते थे, small business बोलते थे, आज भी बोलते हैं. But that's when this is a 2015 sort of a time frame, and was very excited to either work with a startup or work with a setup where I can help startups indirectly. A chance to work with the incubator at IMA, which is called CII.co. And I started looking at investment and syndicates there, which is, whenever we were making a new investment, we were also trying to look at very good angels or funds to come along with this, come along with us in those rounds, in subsequent rounds, etc. So built a network of angels, of funds, also HNIs who wanted to understand what angel investing is. This is like 2015 sort of time frame where angel investment was just getting big, and it's really big today. So did that for 2 years. Started also working with corporates, with some of my teammates to figure out what we can do on the program front, on helping some of the startups work with corporates in a meaningful way, and that sort of morphed into an opportunity to work with some of my partners at CI who were joining hands with a few other partners to create something called the Bharat Innovation Fund, or the Bharat Fund, as it's also known as. There, I think my responsibility was corporate development, which meant that how can we meaningfully engage our startups, our portfolio, and also good startups from the ecosystem with corporates. And that led to many interesting conversations where some corporates wanted to also explore becoming an LP into the fund, building a deeper strategy to work with the fund to drive innovation internally, a part of their innovation through the startup lens as well. And being a deep tech fund, one of the earliest few deep tech funds in India in the Series A space, it became very interesting to work with corporates, because typically deep tech is something that has a massive B2B sort of play. It's not very common to find B2C plays there. So B2B means that you have to work with corporates. So did that, yeah, did a few investments, with the team there. A lot of portfolio management, portfolio support, ecosystem efforts. Started a podcast on the corporate realm called Corporate Calling, and some of my colleagues, previous colleagues there, are now taking that up and taking that forward. But that was also very enriching. Somewhere down the line, got in touch with Shashank at Razorpay, and I knew they were doing something called Marshot, and I was keen to understand more and if I can be a part of it or help them in any way. Of course, have had like huge respect for the team at Razorpay for building something so big and still thinking that they're just getting started, right? So yeah, understood a lot more about the ethos with which they're trying to build, and was on board from day one. I said I'll love to work with you if you guys are okay with it, right? And yeah, it happened, and been looking at Marshot for more than a year now. It's been a very, very interesting journey, very, very steep learning curve as well, working with such amazing founders from the Razorpay side of things and also our portfolio, right? So I'll talk a little bit about Marshot now, where I mean it's set up by the founding team at Razorpay, and something that really, really uh, sealed the deal for me was that it was more like an ecosystem effort uh, to give back to the ecosystem rather than a pure play VC or an investment vehicle, right? And of course, we've seen some of that happen with some other founders in India as well. And I really hope we see more successful founders come out and set something of this sort in whatever shape and form to help. But at Marshot, our goal is to just help founders, right, and make their journey easier from all the experience that our folks at Razorpay have had in building, seeing many failures, a few success things, as well as opening our network for them. We invest a small amount as a means to formalize the relationship, but what we really bring to the table is our time and our experience, etc., which we hope really helps and is a little bit of a unique set of assistance that founders may find it tough to get from many other investors also, and give a very unique perspective to that. So that's the goal. Making money is not the primary lens through which we look at it. Of course, I think in terms of outcomes, we've invested in companies or work with very sharp founders, so I think making money will happen. But generally, I think trying to be very close to the ecosystem and be that pillar of support that Razorpay founders felt that they would have loved to have during their early days, right? Fairly sector agnostic, invest in many startups across sectors. Our portfolios on our website. Anybody can go and take a look there, and stay away from themes that we don't understand or where we can't be of help. So because that would be against the mission statement of Marshot, right? So yeah, that's a quick one on me and what we're trying to do at Marshot.
That's super cool. Even like हमारी जो पिछला conversation हुई थी, then also we were talking about bringing things that are apart from capital on the table, expertise as well as networks. I think network plays a crucial role in the startup ecosystem,
Yeah.
because it's a very small ecosystem as comparison to any other thing that is there. But yeah, network plays a crucial role. And even when you were talking about your journey too, I have seen like you started with EY and all of that, but you were into the advisory and in this space, in the startup and the investment side, I would say. So क्या मतलब कॉलेज से ही सोचा था इन्वेस्टमेंट साइड में जाने का, या फिर you explored it somehow?
नहीं यार, I think see, college में होते हैं then we're also a little bit naive यार. You get driven by what are the
So
sort of
many things.
placements your previous batches have got, right? And
Yeah.
of course, I was very, very interested in the field of finance. And typically, I have many family members who've been in the
Hmm.
finance space, be it banks or in the government and things like that. So that's been close to me. And post engineering, it's a new theme that you're very curious about, right? because if you don't do BCom and you do engineering and then you see finance and MBA, it's very, very intriguing that, okay, this is how it looks like, etc. But the reality of things come to you when you start working, right? So even my stint at EY was a very steep learning curve. It started with an internship. So I interned there and they were kind enough to tell me that, hey, why don't you join us after you finish your college? So going into finance or investing is little serendipitous, but somewhere early in my career, I realized that I need to be somewhere where, you know, you're doing, either you're running a business or you're working with other businesses, right? And at that time, I came across an incubator model and an investment fund. And I was like, those are interesting places to be, because one, you're not doing the same thing every day. You're interacting with different companies on different days. You're solving problems that maybe folks haven't solved before. So it's not monotonous. Plus, you need to really, really think. You need to be really sharp and sort of well connected to help businesses. Or even if you're an entrepreneur yourself, right? You push yourself. You push, you know, your brain, your thought process, your body to the limits, right? And if you're able to find that sustainability there, it's you know, you're in that sweet spot, and you know, you continue to go. I think uh, that's a very, very interesting way to growth in general, like in life, right? I've always chased knowledge over anything else, and I felt that this field, somewhere down the line, I realized this field, I think, is driven by two things: knowledge and network, right? Network you build, and knowledge is something that you acquire, you read, you build, you think about, etc. So I think that's how it happened, but it wasn't planned for. Yeah, I mean, would have loved to start something of my own straight from college, but of course the startup ecosystem at that time wasn't as mature. If I was getting out of college today, I would have done that. uh, would have maybe failed at it or whatever. A few attempts that I did make, started a travel tech company, you know, sort of moonlighting it like a side hustle with a couple of friends, and realized that it was not you know, cutting it for our CTO guy. So had to shut that down. Uh, Started a non-profit very early in my life to, you know, work on a couple of causes, very, very small efforts, but some experience in operating teams, operating a business, non-profit, that of course still help me empathize a lot with the founders or the founder community as such, right? So and I think ex-founders would make the best VCs because they've seen it all, they know what to do, etc. So that convinced me a lot more, you know, to, you know, just work with the folks at Marshot in a big way.
That's true. Like, you know, आपने बताया जैसे कि you were doing in startups, and that too at that early. Like even when you were talking about 2015 में angel investments, that too was very early to for me even. Like it was like, you know, जैसे क्रिप्टो को 2011-12 में कोई नहीं जानता था. It was that early kind of stuff. कि angel investments तो भाई ठीक है हो रही है, mainstream कुछ है ही नहीं. So वो सब
Yeah.
सीन था. And even, you know, starting up in colleges, that is happening right now, that I see, you know,
No,
that
it used to happen at that time also. It's just that now it has become a lot more uh, easy, talked about. Access to capital is better. Support from college incubators is better. Professors themselves take a lot of pride in helping student founders. So that involvement has become better. Of course, you know, tech itself has also scaled up significantly. So if you're coming out of college today and you don't know how to, let's say, code a website or an app, you still have no code, low code ways to do it,
exactly.
at least to build the first MVP, if I can call it that.
Yeah.
So things have become easier, which is also a challenge, because if you can do it, so many others can also do it, right? But yeah, those times are very different. Yeah, 2015, we were, you know, with my team, we were doing angel investment master classes where we were telling HNIs how do you go about angel investing, that how do you think about it, what percentage of wealth should go in this class, how do you slice your portfolio, what are the aspects that you look at, and then we would bring really experienced angels to come and talk to them also. So very fun experience, yeah. So many learnings, and like I've been fortunate to be in places where I'm able to learn every day, right? And yeah, it's just really good to keep stimulating your brain every day with something or the other.
Because I can, relate to that part you said. Like I started in my college, and even from first year itself, I had went to like very less in college. My
Yeah.
audience pretty well know this. They will say हर podcast में शुरू हो जाता है, ठीक है. But
It's a sign of a good entrepreneur also, right? I mean, I was just chatting with somebody today morning, and they were like, "What is it that, like, when you look at college students, what is it that you would want to see before investing?" I'm like, I want, like, any investor, not just me, but that fire, that ठीक है यार, यार फर्स्ट ईयर सेकंड ईयर में कुछ चालू किया, नहीं चला, बंद किया, थर्ड ईयर में फिर समथिंग यू नो स्टार्ट अप विद, फोर्थ ईयर आल्सो you start something, nothing happened, said ki dude, I don't want to take any placements, what, I'll work with XYZ companies, took some time, and maybe 1 year after graduation you hit something, thoda success aa raha hai. Those are really good stories to chase also, right? And Razorpay is also a very good example of
yeah,
that. uh, and there are many, in fact, in the ecosystem, some in our portfolio as well. So it's a very good sign that, and I think this is something that, I mean, you would have been maybe an exception during the time when you were in college, but today it's, I think, the crowd that is trying
mm,
to figure out that, I want to build something is significantly more than what it used to be back in the day when at least I was in college, right?
yeah, तब तो definitely.
And some folks take some time, yeah. Maybe
Hmm.
some of my colleagues from college have started up just now, or maybe 2 3 years back.
Hmm.
They've gotten some experience in the corporate realm, and they're like, okay, now I'm a little bit better prepared to take a shot at it. So to each is their own, but it's good that you tried starting stuff early on, yeah.
Like even from when you said you then move into the investments part, now I moved into the investment part while working with Singapore Investment Bank.
Right.
And that what I discovered. मैं second division का बंदा हूँ BCom program का. ठीक
Right.
है.
Right.
So pedigree wise nothing, but in terms of that you said building an investor network, that what I did in my previous startup.
Yeah.
So that's how I leverage that, and and
Yeah, I
break
think
into that.
I think on your pedigree comment, right? Of course, hats off to the folks who make it to the top colleges in India. It's not an easy process.
Yeah,
If you look at it from a startup or an investor lens, pedigree is one filter,
yeah.
right? What makes people get convinced on founders is their life experiences.
Hmm.
So if you've had life experiences where learned so much, you've shown or demonstrated that you can work well in adversity, come out of adversity, etc. Be it situations at home, be it situations with your college days, your work, or something that you chase on a personal passion front, etc. I think those are very interesting inputs to look at,
Hmm.
even as an investor, right? And I try to understand founders a little bit beyond all of this. That okay,
Hmm.
आप कर रहे हो, but what else? And they're like, नहीं, busy है life में, यही हो रहा है, यही हो रहा है. And then I'll ask them what else. And some of them then slightly open up and say, okay, I also like singing, so I'm taking professional training, or I sing once in a while, or somebody's like, I want to, experiment with stand-up comedy someday, and all of that. So you get to see a side of them which is,
Hmm.
beyond the filter that they have. And I think it makes it a lot easier to understand them at a personal level, um, and also understand that this person is good at these things, and these are the other things which he or she needs help with, and that's
Hmm.
where we could come in and
Yeah.
put in some efforts.
That's true. That's true. Like, क्योंकि ना, I guess both the aspects. It's more about connectivity. Yeah, when you are connected.
Yeah.
Like, since we were talking about students, entrepreneurs and student guys starting in college. So how do you see students' investment running out? There are multiple funds that are investing in student entrepreneurs.
It's free of
Even we raised an angel check in our third year of college, and I have seen few people. We raised angel, but they raised multiple large rounds in that too. So how do you see in that, moving ahead in their journey?
So I don't differentiate between startups that are founded by students or by experienced folks, right? I think, of course, uh, experienced guys come with a lot more skill set and experience, but also as you grow older, as you get conditioned to the corporate realm or wherever you've worked with, there are certain biases that you build.
Hmm.
As a student, you're like, उखाड़ लेंगे यार कुछ तो देख लेंगे हमने दुनिया देखी नहीं है but we will research well, etc. But that fire is burning brighter there, is what
Hmm.
I feel.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm talking about like good student entrepreneurs, right? I mean, there are
Hmm.
so many on student entrepreneurs who want to do it to make some quick money, this, that. I'm not talking about those guys. Of
Hmm.
course, you get enamored by what is happening in the ecosystem and you're like, हम भी try करके देख सकते हैं. But not all students may make amazing entrepreneurs. I mean,
Hmm.
entrepreneurs itself is a very small subset of the overall
Hmm.
janta in general. So there is a profile to, what entrepreneur should look like or be okay with when they're signing up for
Hmm.
starting, right? But in the student category, I think I look at it in a way that they need to think bigger than their surroundings.
Hmm.
So many student startups that I have come across in the last couple of years, most of them, in fact, not many, most of them would be solving for problems that say they see in their life,
Hmm.
be it groceries, be it sharing notes in a college, be it building some sort of a tech platform to manage attendance, payments inside your college, etc. So any student founder who comes up with an idea and says that, yeah, I'm looking at things beyond my college is a very interesting category to evaluate. Because those
Hmm.
college guys are doing whatever they're doing, it's probably their first startup. Maybe you can relate it with whatever you tried to do in year one of engineering.
Hmm.
It's a much more advanced level of a life project. It may not go well. I mean, there are giants in a space and you're trying to build something small there, but it will give you a lot of learning.
Hmm.
So वो I would say वो एक स्टूडेंट entrepreneur की एक internship type phase होता है जहाँ पे आप कुछ बनाते हो सीखते हो आप शायद बंद कर दोगे you will continue at least through your student life, but when you have to do it in a big way you have to dream big, you have to think ki, what can be done in a
Hmm.
particular space. I will go eat up this entire market. So
Hmm.
people who are able to think that way, right, are go a long way also. And there are a few here, and they may not do it during their student stints, but they'll say, ki, okay, I did this. After year four, I continued my startup, but I closed it because I didn't see scalability. And then, or I sold it to somebody or whatever it is. And then I started something where I felt that it could scale across the country, across the globe. But they're very creative, yeah. I think the advantage that many students today have and should leverage is the availability of information, availability of network, and availability of so many entrepreneurs and investors in India who can be approached to seek guidance on, to understand how would they have gone, if they were walking this journey, what are some of the things that the student founder should be careful about, etc., etc. Fundraising is not the metric through which I will judge any student founder here. I mean, you've raised a seed, your batchmate is already on Series D and all of that. It's a part and parcel of the startup ecosystem.
Hmm.
And that Series D company may become zero, uh, when things don't go well in that sector, or a regulator comes up with some new circular or notification, whatever it may be. So everybody's journey is unique. Uh, you have to just ensure that you're building something and scaling it up every day, at a periodic level of interval you're evaluating how, uh, you know at what rate of growth it's growing,
Hmm.
and if it is like super scalable. But there are so
Hmm.
many cool initiatives around student entrepreneurs in India, from startup India scheme of things, to many incubators who work with the student entrepreneurs, to something like a grad capital, etc. So it's good to see some players entering that as well. And that's something that many investors don't have access to until unless people write to them formally. And And many college programs today have also become very big.
Yeah, that's true.
So people want to, stay in loop with these college programs. I mean, on the entrepreneurship side of things, where colleges give out grants or assign mentors, invite VCs to come and chat with the founders, etc. So I think that's good. And somewhere down the line, I feel we should have a significant amount of students going into the startup scheme of things, either as a founder or being employed there. Somewhere we feel that India's economy will see a decent representation of the startup scheme of things adding to that. So we'll see we are already seeing a little bit of a shift there, that many people want to try entrepreneurship and not take placements, or take placements in startups, or even established startups and not just pure play corporates, because they want more in life. They want to be in a challenging environment. They want that high from doing interesting things every day, etc. So that category is very interesting. Also, student customers are very interesting category as well, right? Many Indian startups have really tapped and still tap the student janta of India, because they're very fresh. Many of them are early adopters. They're like, okay, this product is cool, let's download this app, let's buy this product, etc. They'll be very good to give feedback, good, bad, ugly, whatever it may be. And really operate as very good sounding boards, but very good user farm, if I can call it that. So if you are viral among students, you can possibly become a very big company in the future. And because they're young, they have more life to be seen. The long term value that you can build with them, the relationship you can build with them, is also phenomenal. There are elements of loyalty hai nahi hai. They operate on discounts and things like that, but as they mature, and if your service is something that is customer centric and really vibes with their need, I think you will be rewarded significantly. So very interesting demography, the student or the young India, if I can call it that, will be the ones who will drive the country in the future, right? So hoping to see many founders come straight out of college here.
That's 100% true. Like, students, when we talk about, there are much more network effects happening around. They are like, जो Web3 events हो रहे हैं, they're rocking. वहाँ पे they're students, they're Web3 guys, folks. That's all about that. Yeah, 100% in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, and those are the guys who would take a stab at new technologies also, very,
Much
right?
more open to experimentations.
And as a student, you don't have anything to lose, right? Because you're just getting out of college. You don't have any dependent, you don't have kids. Maybe you have a student loan to pay off, and maybe you pay it off, maybe you don't, if you come from a well family, or if you've gone to a college where itni zyada fees nahi thi. So I think it's a good place to start up from. Having said that, entrepreneurship is not meant for everybody. Anybody from the student community wants to take a stab at it should sign up for all the good and massive bad things. There's more downside to entrepreneurship than the upsides, and
Yeah.
it's like probability of success is less. But if you strategize well and are able to uh, think of certain things in the right way, you'll be able to build something interesting, something big, which will be the most rewarding experience, right, of your life. Some of the most satisfied people that I come across are founders, right? And across age groups. It can be a young founder, it can be your grandfather who set up whatever XYZ store or an SME. And yeah, I think it's an interesting career to chase, which I feel has some crazy growth involved, right? You change as a person if you become a founder, because then from looking at just one set of things, let's say you're a marketing professional, you're looking at marketing, you're looking at finance, you're looking at legal, you're looking at hiring, you're looking at customer success, you're looking at fundraising. So you just become a multifaceted personality, along with your co-founder if you have one.
Yeah.
Then you look at people management, so you become very well rounded as an individual. And I've seen that happen as a journey with so many folks in my network, and so many folks that I work with today.
That's true. Startup is always about doing multiple things at a particular point of time. That's absolutely true. Now let's move into the deeper sides of investment. What I meant by this is जितना भी अभी तक हमने बात करी थी, it was more about कि in general students के बारे में क्या रहता है ये सब चीजें. But what is happening also in the industry that I have seen is like certain times certain sector becomes on hype. What does that mean is कि जैसे कोई एक सेक्टर चल रहा है तो सारे ही स्टार्टअप्स भी उधर आ रहे हैं और सारी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स भी उधर आने लग गई अचानक से. So how do you see that? क्योंकि certain what how do you see it? Is it right? Is it wrong? And if it even if it is wrong or right, what is the next sector that is gonna be hype for our viewers? वो भी कुछ start करेंगे.
Sure, man, sure. So I think two things. One, there is always a cycle in the startup realm, and then this main cycle of startup boom bust continues, and then you can split it across many other cycles for separate sectors. Okay, so when COVID hit, we started seeing early signs of people getting very, very scared from the investor ecosystem, startup ecosystem, that, oh my God, I have to move my entire workforce to remote. I have to, maybe as an investor, I don't want to make any more commitments, etc. But a couple of weeks or a month or two down the line, we started seeing some crazy investor action because need for digitalization became the norm. So every startup that was digitizing things, be it from a Zoom to your Gmail to anything that is helping you take care of things. House Party, I've heard that disappear. Right? There was a startup called House Party for doing meetings and socializing remotely. All of that started becoming big. So there are these cycles that you have to add. There's a gaming cycle, there's a blockchain cycle, there's a fintech cycle. So all of these cycles will see ups and downs. But that shouldn't be something that you should be affected with. These hype cycles will come and go. What you need to always individually think through is, this is the sector I want to build in, and I am playing a long-term game. ये नहीं कि क्रिप्टो अभी हॉट हो गया, सो विच मींस आई विल सेट अप अ क्रिप्टो कंपनी कॉल्ड हिमांशु कॉइन एंड बेच देंगे, जो भी है देख लेंगे. राइट? अभी सब लोग क्रिप्टो कर रहे हैं, डोज कॉइन कुछ भी ऊपर नीचे जा रहा है, एटसेट्रा. that's not how sound founders work. The hype cycle comes in when, let's say, one player has, or a couple of players started seeing good traction either on the investment side or the customer side of things, and everybody is like that herd mentality that अच्छा यहाँ पे कुछ बन रहा है, यहाँ कुछ बना लेते हैं अपन. And there are many investors that you'll come across who'll say, यार we missed that 1 2 3 startups, let's invest in number 4. कुछ तो कुछ हो जाएगा, ये consolidate हो जाएगा. These things happen, right? Investors also operate, unfortunately, sometimes on FOMO also.
Yeah.
And with FOMO, they'll look at all the parameters and do the due diligence, etc. But you will see suddenly a lot of investment going in gaming, a lot going in tech, this, that, all sorts of things, right? But those are cycles that will come and go, right? If you are thinking of a business and if you want to really, really build a business of consequence, then you have to always play a long-term game. You can have short-term strategies to arrest certain trends into your business acquisition funnel or whatever it is, but you have to overlook all these trends a little bit, right? You have to discount all of this to also discount all the advice you get in life. People give free advice. Most of it is toxic. So just like that, you have to take everything with a pinch of salt, not get driven by whatever is happening, and keep building. Think about what your customer wants today. So if you are a consumer app where a customer says, okay, I want a augmented reality layer on top of it. And if it is really, really the need, then you build it. But if you're building it just because AR की companies में funding हो रही है और वहाँ पे मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा action हो रहा है, then you're building a feature that may not be needed in your business, right? Similarly, blockchain hype आ रहा है and you're like, यार, today we're doing everything is centralized, let's decentralize it. Why do you need to decentralize it? Is it really needed or is it not needed? Is that something which is there in your vision, or if it's not in your vision? Don't modify. See, running a startup is not fashion. Right? You can't just look at trends in general. Trends also you should look at a macro level. See, these are some of the spikes that are happening. Last year we saw crazy investments happening in ABC sector. Today those sectors are nowhere to be seen. So if you are driving or riding the hype wave, you have to mentally be prepared to ride the low also. But if you're playing a long-term game, it will not have. Hype will help you maybe or not help you. Low will make less difference or maybe take a little bit more from you. But you know that it was coming. You've already planned for it in advance. You've already budgeted कि यार मैं ये 500K ले रहा हूँ उसमें से 100K जो है adversity fund है मेरा उसको मैं नहीं हाथ लगाऊंगा. Before I reach there, I will go and take some money from the market. And adversity can be funding नहीं आ रही है, co-founder चला गया है, key employees left, COVID आ गया है, whatever it may be, right? So that way you're planning a little bit more for adversity. So some of the smartest founders do it. And many founders don't need it, but it's good discipline to have such strategies across your value chain of the startup.
ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि एक एडटेक का स्टार्टअप है क्रिप्टो चला तो एडटेक ने अपना कॉइन लॉन्च कर दिया कि
And people did that, no? We saw people doing that. But if there is relevance of a coin in your startup, then it makes sense. You can't do an ICO for anything and everything under the sun. There has to be some relevance to it, right? You can't say that my reward points is a crypto for no reason. Like, because I want to say crypto in my pitch deck and really excite an investor or my employees. That doesn't work. Try doing it today. It will be looked in a very different light. But if you're saying that reward points है, form factor, we'll see. But these reward points will bring more people to my platform. That is consistent.
इवन सेम चीज मैंने ब्लॉकचेन में बहुत देखी. मेरे पास ऐसे ऐसे स्टार्टअप्स आए, दे वर बेफालतू में डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड और पैसा मांग रहे हैं आइडिया स्टेज पे, कह रहे हैं कि कि गिव अस मनी, वी वांट टू बिल्ड आउट डिसेंट्रलाइज्डली in this whole system, and actual problem can also be solved by centralized system, but they haven't did that. So the thing was the hype that you were saying, that was the key factor, I guess, that they were driven up.
Yeah, man, and it's unfortunate that we have these buzzwords that become the theme of the month, theme of the quarter sort of thing, but smart founders and smart investors look beyond it.
हाँ, ये चीज है. That's true. That's 100% true. और ऐसे ही अभी कई सारे स्टार्टअप्स आ रहे हैं मार्केट के अंदर, ठीक है. और स्टार्टअप्स का जनरली एक मैंने कहीं पे पढ़ा था, आई डोंट नो, ट्विटर और समवेयर, नॉट इन सर्टेन बुक, इट्स नॉट एनालिटिकल काइंड ऑफ स्टफ, बट दे सेड कि एक स्टार्टअप फाउंडर इन्वेस्टर से जाके पैसे मांगता है, एंड ही सेड योर CAC इज टू हाई, एंड द फाउंडर सेज that is what I am raising for, because I'll be acquiring customers right now. So the thing is, profitability in startups, that is cushioned a lot. So according to you, how and when should the startups go profitable? Because they are scaling up the things they are required to have a high market share. That is the startup, I guess. If they are not aiming for that, then it's a typical business that they're building out. So when the profitable should be, what is the right time to be profitable?
Day one.
Okay.
Always, see, you may not be profitable, but you have to think for profitability always. Because according to us, the best color of capital is customer money. Right? Some of the best startups, founders invest some money for initial team and all of that. And if product market fit is a hit, then they don't need to raise for some time. They will only come to raise when they have to grow. So one, you have to think profitability as a metric from day one. I want to be profitable. Maybe today, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. And this is my road to profitability. It has to be in your plan. You can't say कि 10 साल तक पैसे जलाएंगे. Some investors may be okay with it because you're creating a category, right? But just to save yourself, especially in times like today, if you go to an investor saying that my startup is profitable versus another same startup saying profit नहीं है, scale 50%, 100% ज़्यादा है. Investor will say, यार ये profitable वाला जो startup है, it has sound financial metrics, and if we infuse money, they will cross that 50%, 100% growth जो competitor का है. But they have run it as a sound business.
Yeah.
At the same time, there is a concept of blitz scaling, which people should read about, where you raise capital only to grow. And at that time, you keep for a short period of time, if all the conditions around your business are favorable, you keep profitability aside for a few months or a year or so, and you grow enough to acquire a lot of customer base, which is something that is fine by many investors, because at that time you found a very good product market fit, some adoption is there, good traction is there, but it's growing at a slow pace. And you're like, can I incentivize my customers to join without paying a fee for 3 months, and then I'll start charging them?
Freemium kind of a model.
Freemium or whatever, I mean, free for an entire year, or just giving them, solid incentives to join in also. You join, you pay a fee, or you don't pay a fee, and I'll give you some cash back or some points or something of that sort, right? So that people are able to understand what you are building, and you're able to build a brand, you're able to start a relationship with more people. But even after doing that, if you're not able to maintain that relationship, all that goes to waste. You spend 100 rupees to acquire a customer, and you're not able to sell anything to 90% of your customers, maybe it's not a good thing to have. Spend 100 rupees, you're able to build a relationship, be it through communication over email, on WhatsApp, whatever it is, or just on social media. People feel that, yeah, I'm a part of this community, I feel good about it, I will buy something later from be it a B2C or a B2B side of things as well, right? So I think that's important. So profitability is something that people should always have in mind, because if you go to any stage to raise capital, to hire a key employee, to expand geographically, to go to an IPO, that's a metric that everybody wants to see. कि है कि नहीं है, और अगर नहीं है तो कब आने वाला है. The founders.
That's true.
At any point of time, I feel, at least for many D2C or B2C sort of models, unit level पे profitability तो होता ही है. But I think a lot of burn happens on the team and growth and all of those aspects as well. So which is fine. You may not be absolute profitable company for a few years, which is a little bit of a VC playbook also. Venture capital was invented to sort of crash down your business cycle, right?
Yeah.
So it serves that purpose. But your plans should be very well defined. You may not follow the plans also. It happens in most cases that you create a plan, and what happens in real is very, very different. But that
Dynamic
helps you strategize a little bit and relook at it every couple of weeks to figure out, are we on plan? Should we change our plan? What is working for us? What is not working? So running a startup is all about building a product and then iterating from there.
Yeah.
And if you keep profitability and customer need at its center, it will typically have a slightly higher success rate or outcome, or whatever you may want to call it.
Got it. That sounds cool perspective, and that this founder should adapt. क्योंकि अभी काफी सारे फाउंडर्स ऐसे आते हैं जिनका प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी उनको दूर दूर तक पता नहीं होता. इनफैक्ट उनको ये नहीं पता होता कि फंड कितना रेस करना है, बस उनको ये पता होता है फंड जलेगा. So that's also kind of a people that reach out.
I think I tell all startups, especially the very early stage student founders, etc. I tell them कि आप एक business model Excel पे बना लो. आपको पता चल जाएगा क्या नंबर है. Put assumptions.
Clarity आती है काफी.
Be realistic about assumptions. They're like, अरे उसमें 2-3 घंटे. I'm like, you spend 2-3 hours, you'll have so much clarity, because you will be able to ask yourself very hard questions.
There is a reason why it takes 2 to 3 hours.
I think the reason why people should make like a business plan on an Excel doc is to understand these things. That can I do 500 customers a day? Can I really grow this to 5,000 a day 2 months down the line?
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that enable me to do it? Do I need to hire more? Do I need to build that level of tech? Will referrals start kicking in? And as you go, you can start relooking at this a little bit and see, analyze, is it going as per trajectory? Are we growing faster? Are we growing slower? And what are some of the corrections that you want to do? So you get a lot of clarity when you make that model, yeah, to be very honest.
That's 100% true. 100% true. We, matlab, had started up when we were doing that. मॉडल के बाद ऐसा हो गया था कि वी न्यू लाइक अब अच्छा ये नंबर हम यहाँ पे ऐसे लाने वाले थे। एक तो बिजनेस प्लान ही गलत था जो हमने स्ट्रेटेजी बना रखी थी। So that also happened with us. So yeah, that's cool, you know. And how do you see current investments and fundraising, current market situations in that aspect?
So it's a very interesting time because there are many funds with a lot of dry powder today, right? It's just that they've become very selective about where they want to invest, or do a much deeper due diligence than what was happening last year. Last year, the pace of investment was very high. You're like, if you don't do your DD faster, if you don't give your commit out faster, you will probably lose the deal.
Yeah.
It was at that level. Today it's a little bit more sound, and it's good because it's sound, because you end up making less mistakes, and you can get understand a few red flags and talk to your founders about it. So that way, I think from a fund side of things are very well capitalized, right? I
Hmm.
mean, good funds have capital. There are some very new funds in India. They also have LP commitments, etc. The HNI Janta of India or the angels are
Hmm.
actively investing. HNIs want to become angels
Hmm.
thanks to whatever they read in the papers about good startups and whatever they see on Shark Tank. It helps them understand that this is also an asset class.
It's
Why are we
3:30.
not looking at it? Let me
Yeah.
just say that again. It helps them understand that this is also an asset class, and why are we not looking at it?
Hmm.
So they also want to invest, which opens a very interesting route of friends, family, and fools while around for many startups. There are so many HNIs. You'll have XYZ uncle, you'll have XYZ bhaiya, Didi, who are big and they have
Hmm.
capital, and you'll go to them. They'll be able to easily give you capital because they know you. They probably
Hmm.
believe in you, your etc. So you'll get seed capital is easy. You go to incubators. Many incubators have a mandate from the government or from their own teams to give out capital, to give out grants as well. Uh, of course, the amount of questions asked and answerability is a lot more because of some of the incidents that we've seen happen at large scale globally and in Indian startups as well. Corporate governance is something that is becoming non-negotiable, that you
Hmm.
have to have everything in place from the legal, accounting, and compliance side of things. Um, so scrutiny is a little bit more when investors are looking at it today, but I don't think there's paucity of capital for good
Hmm.
founders who were trying to take the right path to starting up, building something for customers where there's a need, etc. I don't think capital is an issue. We're all reading about rounds, etc., that are happening. Of course, the last year was again a very unique event where we saw so many investments happen. So if you say that investments are 80% down from last year's this month, we're coming back to normalcy because they were also
Yeah.
like whatever 80% higher at that time. So this is like a little bit of a market correction. Valuations also have come down, but some good founders are also raising at decent good valuations as well. um, but I don't think capital has dried up
Hmm.
today.
Got it. Got it.
If only it has only increased, and awareness has gone up significantly.
That's cool, you know, and most of the VCs or investors whom I'm interacting with, they have a similar point of view. Like, you know, the things people see कि 80% down आया, but they don't see कि उससे पहले hype भी तो आया था. So it is
Correct.
kind of matching the fields again that was previously.
Correct. And people are ready to invest in good teams, at least early rounds, so they will do.
Yeah, that's the
The
thing.
first round of a company, etc. I don't see like a funding winter playing a very significant role in the early stage side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Growth, of course, because you've invested a considerable amount. You want to
Yeah,
see some outcomes there before you go in and put in a much larger amount. So
100%.
fair enough, yeah. And when you think about it as a founder, you have to always change your perspective to an investor perspective and see,
Hmm.
I'm pitching to Himanshu. Himanshu is an investor in this particular sector. This is my company. If I go to him and tell him this, will he give me money? Would I give money as Himanshu to
Yeah.
myself? I think that changes things. And then you're like, no, yeah, I think I need some more metrics. Or maybe I need to convince him at a different level that Himanshu, I know these are some of the risks that you will foresee. Our traction is not great, but hey, look at our community, look at our engagement. Look at the team that
Exactly what I used to say to my co-founder कि bro अगर मेरे पे पैसा होगा मैं डालूंगा इसमें तब जाऊंगा मैं. That's the
I
thing.
think that level of communication, I think, is something that all founders should think through.
That's cool. It was, since we are a bit of running short of time, I know that. So I like to end over here. But yeah, it was a meaningful and grateful conversation, at least to me. Always pleasure talking with you. Take care. And looking forward for more such conversations.
Thanks, dude. Thanks. So it was pleasure's mine. I'm very, very fortunate to reach out to your audience through this platform, and happy to interact with your audience via LinkedIn, my email, whatever they feel is the right way to approach. And best of luck to all the folks from your audience who are going to start up or starting up in their journey, and big congratulations to you on hosting this podcast at a good frequency and bringing interesting people to talk to.
Thank you, sir.